I've been collecting video games and video game hunting for a long time. I remember buying NES games at garage sales when I was like 8 years old. And that's how I built my NES collection as a kid, was mostly through garage sales. And what you're about to see is a once-in-a-lifetime pickup. Friend of the channel, Owen, reached out. He's selling his entire video game collection. And I've seen other, I bought a whole collection video on YouTube, la la la. And they're cool. But there are so many dingers in this freaking lot, and I've been talking with him for about a week. We're about ready to drive to Omaha, Nebraska from where we live in Des Moines, Iowa. It's about a 2-hour drive, and we're gonna buy his collection. It's gonna be crazy. I don't even know what we're gonna do with all of it. I don't really have a plan, but we want to take you along for the freaking ride.
So I literally have no idea what I'm walking into, guys. This is crazy. Buying a complete game collection. I know Wes and Owen have been talking. I caught a little bit of a FaceTime they had talking about the collection, showing it off. And then there's like a price charting list with every game on it. I never saw the list. I have no idea. So I'm blind. I'm going in with you guys. It's going to be crazy. I just know there's 4 boxes of video games. I don't know the size of the boxes. A complete collection. This is going to be crazy.
What we have here is kind of a once-in-a-lifetime gaming off-the-grid journey / video, whatever the hell you want to call it. We are driving to Omaha, Nebraska.
2-hour drive.
And we're going to buy an entire video game collection.
4 boxes of games.
Yes. Some dingers. We're going to take you along for the ride. We're going to hit an arcade with the guy while we're there. He's a friend of the channel, looking to get out of collecting and hook us up. I cannot wait to show you what we were about ready to pick up. So come along for the ride. Per usual, gaming off the grid, just in scramble mode. We're running a little late. Not our fault. We're left to take some money out at the bank because, you know, to buy a game collection, you have to have some money, right? And we wanted to pay cash, you know, straight up, so we didn't have to deal with fees on PayPal, Venmo, etc. And I pull up to the bank because people just don't go to banks anymore. So I pull up to the last known location of my bank, and it wasn't there anymore. And so we had to go clear across town. We had a good plan, and already the day is starting off a little crazy.
So we drive 2 hours to Omaha, Nebraska. Last time I was in Omaha, I was at a concert. This time, I'm buying a freaking video game collection.
About 10 minutes out, the old heart started pounding. I'm like, this is it, man. We are going to be picking up this collection. And we pull in, we see his car, and then we get out, we embrace, and then it's time to go through some freaking boxes.
And he starts pulling these boxes out of his truck, and I'm like, guys, this is real.
Holy cow. It's windy.
It's wind out.
The boxes are sealed. It looks like he's moving, but it's all video games. And we open up the top layer on like the back of his truck, and I'm just like, dude.
Oh, son, Duke.
That's cool. That's a.
That's
just
10.
It was a coin bank. That I
Okay,
had.
cool. So the week leading up to this, I was just so jacked up, and I remember, you know, I take my professional job that I do every day, I take it very seriously. I love my job, love my coworkers. Some of my coworkers know I'm a little out there, but I have a pretty professional career, and I try keeping things on the rails, on the straight and narrow, yeah. But when somebody asks you what you're doing for the weekend, and you're 35 years old, and you're like, I'm going to buy some video games. So all week, people, well, what do you got going on this weekend, Wes? I'm going to Omaha. You know, just trying to keep it kosher.
This is like so surreal, just thumbing through games. He threw me this Borderlands rubber duck, and he was like, this is for you, just extra. And I was like, this might be my favorite thing in the pickup.
Oh, here you go, brother. I hope you don't have this one.
Oh, sweet.
Hell yeah.
Guys, so surreal, just so many games. Switch, Genesis, modern, retro. It's just absolutely crazy.
For sure. Going in the collection. For sure. Going in the collection.
So after we go through the boxes just kind of a little bit, we didn't do a full deep dive because preceding this, Owen had sent me his price charting list of all the stuff that was in the collection. And I trust Owen, you know, I wasn't like thinking that he was going to pull something over on me. So I just looked at some of the dingers and kind of the top layer on these boxes out in the parking lot. And we met at Dave & Buster's for a reason. We wanted to play some games, you know, we're like, hey, if we're coming all the way out here, we need to hang out and have a few brews, play some games.
So since we were going to Dave & Buster's, they have House of the Dead Scarlet Dawn. That's the whole reason we wanted to meet at Dave & Buster's. That's the whole reason we went to Dave & Buster's a few years ago to play that game. It's one of the best light gun arcade experiences ever because you're in the chamber. So we walk in to Dave & Buster's. We get a beer. We walk to the arcade. We sit down in the cabinet. Out of order. Are you kidding me?
Funny thing about Scarlet Dawn, we're driving there and I said, dude, watch us get there and this game's out of order. And Robert's like, dude, if it is, I'm walking home. And guess what? Somebody didn't walk home.
The one game we wanted to play was out of order. And Owen, in case you're watching, I do have my Dave & Buster's card here in my pocket. It still has money on it. So we're going to go back. We're going to beat House of the Dead Scarlet Dawn. Since it was broken, we had to beat a light gun game, so we went and played Time Crisis 5. That game's badass. Double foot pedal. Holy crap. Had a few beers, hung out, told stories, laughed, had lunch, but we had to get back home.
It was just a great time. It was a really surreal weekend.
The credits be rolling. What's up, everybody? Time Crisis 5 is in the bag. And that's your bottom line.
It is now time to hit the road, head back to Des Moines, Iowa, and dig through all this stuff. 4 full boxes, tiny ass car, full of video games. It's time to get back and dig through this piece by piece. A lot of work's gonna go into this. The deal is done.
We're on our way home.
Is sealed. Played some arcade games.
Yep.
Went to a brewery. Hung out. Owen's an awesome dude. And I cannot believe the deal he hooked us up with. It's literally unreal.
And we just fingered through it. It's still in the boxes.
Yeah.
I can't wait to look at it. There's so much stuff.
Yeah, there's so much stuff we haven't uncovered, I feel like.
So much stuff that a lot of the stuff I've never even heard of, especially like when it comes to the Switch games. It's like a Nomads in there. Like a lot of stuff. Like, dude, you don't see this stuff.
Yeah. And a lot of the Switch stuff we were noticing is sealed still. Like, it's a lot of limited runs, strictly limited
which is
stuff.
just so crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be really wild to go through it. It's going to be very tough to stay disciplined because the whole idea for this pickup was for us to add some bangers to the collection, pay for the collection.
Yeah.
Through selling some stuff, and then maybe make a little ching-ching on the side. We'll see how that goes because it's going to be really tough to control ourselves.
The more I dig into it, the more I go, oh, I want to keep that, I want to keep that, I want to keep that.
Yeah.
But a lot of the stuff we already have, so we might just switch out for a better copy.
Yeah.
This is going to be a process, but it's so crazy, dude. Boxes, dude.
Yeah, it's the back seat's loaded up. I think it will be a fun thing though for you guys to see the mental struggle we go through in dissecting. What do we keep? What do we sell? What do we do with our hands?
Yeah.
Those type of things. To be a video game collector. I tell you what.
Well, we'll dive into it once we get home in 2 hours.
So given that this is a once-in-a-lifetime haul, we don't really know how the hell the best way for the viewer to go through this collection is with this. So we're going to kind of show you us thumbing through the boxes a little bit, kind of the top layer. You'll see that here and there throughout the video. But then we've broke everything down by console. We'll go through it by console, and then we'll kind of recap at the end. We don't know what we're going to keep, what we're going to flip. Haven't decided any of that yet, but we'll kind of highlight some dingers that are for sure staying in the collection, and then we'll kind of wrap things up. But it's going to be a lot of fun going through all this. The good old NES, near and dear to my heart. first console I ever played. Ironically enough, even though there's an 8-year age gap between Robert and I, his first console was the NES too. So what I'm getting at, we're not collecting the NES as heavy as we once were because we've been collecting the console our whole lives. So there's not a lot that we want that we don't have, but there were some dingers in here.
So there's a lot of sweet NES games in this lot, but the ones that stand out to me is like this G.I. Joe Real American Hero game.
You've been hyping this game up hard, bro.
This game, top 15 NES games, for sure.
That's insane.
I've never heard of it. I was like, G.I. Joe on the NES, is it going to be good? I haven't played it yet, but I'm super excited to dive into G.I. Joe Real American Hero. Another thing that's crazy is Owen said that this G.I. Joe game is better than the Capcom G.I. Joe game. That doesn't make any sense because Capcom was on fire during the NES era, and this game isn't by Capcom, but whatever, it might be.
What is this? This is what you're talking about, the Battle of Olympus.
Battle of Olympus.
You're talking about this
It's a lot like Zelda 2.
Okay.
For me, personally, top 10 NES game.
Wow. But that's also because you like Zelda 2.
Right. If you don't like Zelda 2, you're not going to like this
Oh,
game.
what a clone console.
You got a retro trio in here, bro.
And then we got Gremlins 2.
Is this Gremlins 2?
Yes, Gremlins.
Gremlins 2, baby. The new
We
batch.
needed that back. We needed that back in our lives.
We used to have this game. We gave it away to a friend of the channel. I'm so glad to have it back because Gremlins 2 is amazing. The movie's also really good.
Okay, you guys, listen up. People paid good money to see this movie.
Gargoyles Quest 2. This is a banger. Darkwing Duck, Shatterhand, and then Bucky O'Hare. This game is like so cool, and just being able to like see it and touch it and be like, wow, this is ours now. It's just really cool.
The good old Sega Genesis. This is a console that I never have spent much time in my life collecting for, with the exception of like the last year. It's kind of just because I've got to a point with most consoles that I have what I want. But I've got a little bit of nostalgia for the Genesis because I had a neighbor friend that had one. So it does feel really good starting to collect these games, and there are some bangers in this collection. Gargoyles. Gargoyles. I'm not gonna say it's the best game, but I just love the Gargoyles. The Punisher. Those of you who watch the channel know the Punisher's been on our wish list for probably a couple years now, maybe even longer than that. The Coupe de Tot.
The Pico de Gallo.
With the tattoo.
Tattoo and the hang tab.
Oh my god, I'm so scared to even like,
Yeah,
the
close.
tattoo blows away as we're filming it.
Yeah, and the semi runs over it. Dude, no joke, it did.
Dude, it really did just blow away. It's blowing away. Quackshot, Outrun, Rocket Knight Adventure. There was definitely some dingers. And it was awesome to see Genesis stuff because I was like, ooh, I'm collecting that right now.
The Super Nintendo. This is a console I didn't grow up playing. I'm new to it kind of in the last 4 to 5 years. I know Wes loved the Super Nintendo, so we kind of collect here and there. I'm always learning about new games, so it was super cool to find Super Nintendo games. And what's cool about all this retro stuff is he had his stuff boxed like how we have our stuff boxed, like in these clamshell cases, and I love that. I feel like it's a lot cooler to open a box and see those cases instead of just loose cards.
This is one of my favorite games.
That game is so good.
The games that stand out to me for the Super Nintendo, I mean, Adventures of Batman and Robin. I've been wanting to play that game for so freaking long. I haven't played it since probably back in like 94, 5-ish. I had a neighbor that had it, and I recently picked up the Genesis one, which is very different than this game, and so I'm really excited to give that one a go. Sunset Riders, I mean, just a beautiful freaking game. Lafayette 2, that's just one you don't see around very often. I have not played
This, to me, is the best RPG on this list.
Damn.
I know people will say Chrono Trigger, but you know what?
Hot take.
Chrono Trigger, yeah, hot take, Chrono Trigger, second place.
Phantom 2040, kind of a Metroidvania style game that I have never heard of. Never heard of it. That's rare when it comes to Super Nintendo. Never heard of it. Owen says, though, it's a banger and we need to play it. He says it's the best Metroid game on the Super Nintendo that isn't Super Metroid.
Yeah, Phantom.
So you were
There
hyping
you
this
go.
up.
That is the second best Metroidvania on the SNES behind Super Metroid.
And then Final Fight 3. I mean, we're a co-op channel, so that's definitely one that stood out to me. Some bangers on the PS1 that are super mint. Like this guy's whole collection, it's worth noting, the whole collection is just, I would say, pristine. He really, really, really took care of his stuff. The PS1 games, Alundra, Working Designs game. If anybody's ever played or touched a Working Designs game, the amount of craft that they put into their packaging and the design and the care they put into their physical releases is pretty remarkable. Alundra, pretty awesome to see. Tamba, yep, that's another one. That one's a dinger. And then it was really cool to get Symphony of the Night back. I had traded it away to a friend for another game because he really wanted to play it a while back, and I was like, you know, I'll come across Symphony of the Night again. But I definitely want it in my collection, and here it was. N64 games, I know a lot of people love the console, and I know it pisses you guys off when we shit on the N64. According to N64 fans, there are some bangers in here. I would agree a little bit, but I'm just not super into it. I'm not really into the N64 these days. It's just always been a console when I go back to it, I'm like, ha ha.
There's not many N64 games, and like Wes said, we're not really huge into the N64. I loved it when I was a kid, but now I'm an adult, it's hard to go back to. The games that we picked up are pretty cool. So we got Conker's Bad Fur Day, Rocket Robot on Wheels. I've never heard of this game, but I love that the card is red. Paper Mario, that's a dinger. Mario Kart 64, and then one of my favorite N64 games, Banjo-Kazooie.
I love this fucking game, Banjo-Kazooie.
Small, but mighty N64 collection.
Kind of a grail in this pickup. The Nintendo Power Issue 1. With the poster. Really good condition. I would say probably overall I'd give this thing like an 8.5. It's in pretty dang good shape. There's a little chew out of the back cover, but overall, pretty awesome, and you just don't see this around very often. I've got a ton of Nintendo Powers, but I don't have issue 1. Pretty freaking sweet. GameCube stuff. I think everybody knows GameCube stuff's crazy, right? GameCube stuff is just really hard to find. The collector's market's insane. And oh yeah, there's some GameCube stuff in this collection. Yeah.
You guys know GameCube stuff is hot right now. Everything on the GameCube is crazy, even third-party stuff like Simpsons Hit and Run, Simpsons Road Rage, going for a crazy amount. It's super cool that he also had in this pile the GameCube player. That's worth a crazy amount. Zelda 4 Swords, Zelda the promotional disc. Guys, I'm just blown away by all this stuff.
So there's some PS3 games in here. You can tell it wasn't a main focal point of his collection, but there is a unique thing or opportunity that's going to present itself for us to make a little money on selling some of our own stuff, huh? So the Sly collection and the Ratchet and Clank collection, the HD versions of the game, we're going to keep those and sell off our PS2 collection of those respective games. So that's going to be really cool. There were some other collection games in here that I think would provide value to someone. The God of War collection, pretty awesome to see that. And then the Jack and Daxter collection. The PS3 was all about these HD collections. And more sealed PS3 stuff. Metal Gear Solid Legacy collection, sealed. Valkyria, sealed. It's just crazy the amount of sealed stuff that we came across in this haul.
The Nintendo Wii, a console a lot of people shit on because of the motion, but there is some really cool games, and there were some really cool dingers in his Wii collection. So the Arcade Hits pack came with LA Machine Guns, Gunblade New York. This thing is a dinger. Metroid Prime Trilogy is a dinger on the Wii. Muramasa, Wii Sports. It's crazy that Wii Sports is still going for a good amount because everyone had it. It's been going for a good amount for a while. A lot of cool Wii stuff.
You guys know we're huge Wii U fans. It was good to see some Wii U stuff in here. Fortunate thing is we have most of the stuff, but there was a sealed game. There was a sealed copy of Deus Ex. Pretty freaking badass to see, and that game's actually on the rise quite a bit. Badass game on the Wii U.
And then PlayStation 4. Not a lot of dingers here, except for Gravity Rush. A lot of the games on the PS4 in this collection we already have or have played. It was cool to see the Spider-Man games, the original, and then Miles Morales, because I played the original, and the Miles Morales I haven't played yet, so that's kind of cool. It's just so freaking nuts that we just have all this stuff. Just piles of stuff, and I don't know what to do with it. Guys, it's insane how many Switch games we currently have.
Look at those Switch games, dude.
When I open the boxes, you just see the spines because Switch cases are smaller. It's just boom, boom, boom. It was absolutely insane. There's so many awesome Switch games. Some that we already have, some that are dingers, a lot. So many crazy things in here. There was one game that Owen told us about, Mario and Rabbids. It was the Gold Edition. Apparently this is like a Costco exclusive.
Price charting doesn't quite understand what to do with this.
Then there's this game that he told us about that I've never heard of, and I would have just walked right past, and that was Mummy Demastered.
The Mummy Demastered.
Mummy Demastered.
See, I would look past this.
Great Metroidvania.
Oh, I like the way like the graphics look. Yeah. That's not, when I was picturing Mummy, I was picturing something way different.
Bite on this.
Guys and gals, shitloads shit loads of Nintendo Switch games. So many. It's hard to even say what stood out here. S.C.A.T and the Pirate's Curse or whatever the hell it's called.
Oh, there's the big boy, right?
Oh,
Couple $400 there, right?
Jesus Christ. This is so cool to see all this in one day.
The Messenger, Xenocrisis, Blazing Chrome were some ones that stood out. And then I will go back to something I said just a little bit ago. Tons of sealed Switch games, tons. It just blows my mind they were still sealed. And I think on his price charting list, if memory serves me, they were just listed as CIB because I don't think he knew if he was going to open them or not. So many sealed Switch games, so many that were strictly limited games or limited run games, still sealed. The value here is just through the roof. And again, much like the 3DS, I don't even know what the market's going to do on the Switch. It's Nintendo, so it's going to be highly collectible, but this stuff is already worth quite a bit. And it's like, what do you do with it? You know, do you hang on to it for a rainy day? Do you get out from under it and try getting back what you paid for everything? I don't know what to do with my hands.
What is this? I didn't realize they poured. I love this game on N64.
That's one of my favorite racing games of all time.
They said it wasn't humanly possible, but now you can have all the power and excitement of Nintendo right in the palm of your hand. Introducing Game Boy.
Game Boy games. So there's only like 6 of them here. I loved Game Boy when I was a kid. Don't really play much handhelds anymore. There are a few dingers in this pile though, like Mole Mania. Never heard of it. If I saw this game in a garage sale, I would think it's trash. But apparently this game is worth a ton of money. Super crazy. Then there's Batman Return of the Joker, which looks really freaking cool. I love Batman games and Return of the Joker. I've heard really good things. And then there's this Harry Potter game. I know it's not worth much of anything, but I had this exact same game when I was a kid. So I have like this weird nostalgia with it. It's a terrible game, but Harry Potter.
Game Boy Advance. Okay. I'm really digging the Game Boy Advance right now. And I think if you've been around and watched the channel, you know we're not big fans of handheld games. But I recently got the Game Boy player for the GameCube. So I'm super excited that there were some Game Boy Advance games in here, and there's some freaking whoppers.
We do it like you do it when we do it like we do it at Burger King.
There are some bangers for Game Boy Advance that we picked up. Metroid Fusion, Metroid Zero Mission, Zelda Minish Cap. It's crazy because I feel like we talked about a lot of these games in our WiiU eShop closing episodes, and I was like, guys, you can get these games for cheap. And now we have them physical. It's so freaking crazy. Lufia, it's an Atlas game. Every time I see Atlas in the wild, I just go, that's worth a lot, because it's Atlas. I don't know why. And then there's Wario Land 4. For some reason, the Wario games are just crazy in value, because, I don't know, maybe Wario is rich or something? I don't know.
Alien Infestation on the DS. I've always just wanted to play this game. I love Alien, the movie franchise. I like all of them. It's just if it's Alien related, I like it. I'm so excited to play this game, man. You know, got a big old action figure, got the Alien NES NECA. I'm just a big fan of the lore and the movies. And Alien Infestation has just always been a game that I've been like, that looks really, really cool. And I've never heard anybody talk about it. And it's too expensive for me to buy. And now I have it.
Another banger for the Nintendo DS, Zelda Phantom Hourglass. This is another game we talked about during our WiiU eShop closing videos. It's just so cool to see this, just be like, wow, I've wanted to play this. It's another entry in the Zelda franchise, and now we have it. It's just, dude, this whole collection is just so crazy to be like, it's real, it's real, it's real, it's real, and it's all here.
The good old 3DS, look out for the 3DS. The market on this is going to go insane. There are so many kids that had a DS or a 3DS that they will become nostalgic for this stuff. The 2-screen setup is gonna make it pretty tough unless Nintendo releases another console. So there's gonna be a ton of value. So this stuff, I don't even think, it's hard to put a value on it. I know what it goes for currently, but it's hard to like say what the market's gonna do. But there were some bangers in here. The Kirby Planet Robobot was sealed. Fire Emblem Awakening, sealed. Metroid Samus Returns, sealed. And then a bunch of other games in there that stand out. But it's just wild, the amount of sealed stuff. And there's going to be more sealed stuff to come.
So I know earlier I said I wasn't into handheld gaming, but the Nintendo 3DS I do kind of like because it's bigger, 2 screens, it's kind of like the Wii U. There's this Batman game I've never heard of, and I love the Batman series. Batman Blackgate, never heard of it. I'm guessing it's just handheld exclusive. Looks really sweet. There's a handful of PSP games in here, nothing really to write home about, but it's still cool to see PSP stuff. Now, since we bought a full game collection, not only was it games, it was game consoles. So there was some really cool stuff in here. There was a Retro Trio, which is really cool. We're gonna put that in the garage. Plays NES, Super Nintendo, and Genesis games We're not super into clone consoles, but that's going to be great for the garage so we don't damage our real consoles, you know? So there's this NES Game Boy Advance that looks so cool. I've never seen this in the wild. And speaking of another thing I haven't seen in the wild, is the Super Nintendo 3DS. It's just so crazy. It's beautiful. Then there's Zelda Game & Watch, the original and the new one. It's so cool because I've seen the new one, obviously, but the old one?
Like, seriously, how and why do you have this? Because I'm a huge fucking nerd, right?
Well, you love Zelda. Wow. It's just so fucking cool. I've never seen one of these before, ever.
And it works?
Last time I turned it on, it did.
Yeah.
There was an N64 in the slot, and then a console that I've never seen before. It's just so cool to touch. It was the Sega Nomad.
It's a Switch before the Switch.
Yeah, and you have an
Whoa.
output here
Whoa.
to go to the TV AV.
It's a fun fact.
6 buttons. And this is pretty fucking clean, dude.
I tested it the other day.
How did you come across this?
Found that at a pawn shop
Holy shit.
like 10 years ago. Paid $20 for it.
Oh, wow.
A portable console that played Genesis games? That's insane. There was like the Switch before the Switch. Full Genesis carts going to the Nomad. I have no use for it, but it's just really cool because you never see the Nomad out in the wild.
Oh, that's the
Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong Yahtzee. Yeah.
I love Yahtzee.
And then obviously with the consoles, there was controllers and accessories and all this stuff bundled together. We'll probably lop that up with the consoles and stuff, but it's just cool that it's in there.
Well, we've had time to process this whole thing mentally. It's been a couple weekends ago since we executed this deal. How you feeling about it?
Dude, it's still surreal.
Yeah.
Like, I still don't, it doesn't feel real. And even watching the footage and, like, watching the video that we made, it's just like, God, it's so much stuff. And just, like, being able to have, these are just 2 of the games.
Yeah.
It's just, oh my God.
Yeah,
It's so cool.
We've been on the trail of getting the Punisher for a long time. This one has the tattoo, it's CIB, it's super mint.
Hang tab.
Bucky O'Hare's been on the radar for a long time. We still haven't fully decided everything that we're going to keep.
There's a lot.
Yeah, there is. I mean, we've plucked out, just some things off the rip. I mean, Darkwing Duck, Final Fight 3, The Adventures of Batman and Robin on Super Nintendo, the 2 games you see on
Quack
the table
Shot,
here.
Sunset Riders. We picked up we kept a few Switch games. So cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think the interesting thing is going to be deciphering all of that, deciding what to keep, and also keeping in mind that, this gentleman reached out to us knowing the value of his collection. It wasn't a deal, but he wanted to get it into the hands of people that he thought it could benefit, right? And he's like, I know you can sell some of this stuff and hopefully get your money back. So that's kind of the goal. I didn't want to get into the nitty gritty in this of what we necessarily paid. We dropped a lot of greenbacks,
yes.
But I feel like that type of stuff, that's between us and the guy that sold it to us.
Yeah, that's all that matters. We just got a really good deal.
Yeah.
That's all. That's what we'll say.
Yeah.
And it's just, this is the craziest pickup. The big 4 boxes.
We should be able to add some bangers to the collection and get back what we paid for it with relative ease. It's just going to take time.
Yeah.
But I think that's all the further we really need to get into it. But it was just one of the most amazing pickups. I truly feel it's like a once-in-a-lifetime type of thing.
An entire collection.
Yeah, and really blessed that Owen reached out to us because, he just didn't want to dick around with piecing it out, and wanted to sell it in one lump sum.
The weekend was really sweet.
Yeah.
We went down to Dave & Buster's. We did not play out with the Dead Scarlet Dawn, which freaking sucks. But Time Crisis 5, badass game. And then we went to that brewery right down the street. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and
hung out with him.
It was cool making sure that he was okay parting with the collection, because I kept asking him, "Are you sure, man?" He's like, "Dude, we wouldn't be here having this conversation. I wouldn't have got to this point." He said it's all in, and it's pretty crazy because he said he flipped his way to his collection that he has like $500 wrapped up in that collection.
In this,
4
boxes. That's insane. Yeah. But that's just further proof that you can flip your way to a game collection, basically.
Absolutely. So really cool, really blessed, and just really wanted to show you guys because it's probably never going to happen to us again.
Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. It took us a long time.
Yeah, you obviously missed an upload day because of it, but we wanted to make sure it was right. So.
Yeah. Speaking of right, let's talk about this beer by Founders. This is a unique one. This is the part of their Bottle Shop series, which I've never heard of, so I might keep my eye open for this. This is the Belgian Twist. So it's a Belgian-style triple ale brewed with agave nectar, comes in at 10%.
Yeah.
We love Founders. What do you think?
Yeah, and I like Belgian beers. I like triples. I like doubles. I like Hefeweizens. I kind of like that whole spectrum. But I think this is pretty good. It's probably not quite as good as I thought it was going to be coming from Founders.
Because Founders,
But that being said, I'm really enjoying it, and it's still really good. I would say in style for what it's going for, probably like an 8 out of 10. I mean, it's good. I would probably buy it again because I am a huge fan of the style. And honestly, when you go through, a lot of bottle shops, you're not seeing a ton of offerings of triples. So even finding an 8 is a good situation. But Founders kind of has set that bar really high with their portfolio. And so I just thought it was going to be a little more top shelf.
I wonder if it's because they did that twist and they put like the agave nectar in it that makes it taste different. Because I wonder if they just did a straightforward Belgian triple.
Yeah, maybe.
And also I feel like this might be filtered a little bit because there's not chunks.
Yeah, there's not the sediment that you kind of get in some triples.
And I feel like that kind of took away from some of the flavor. Usually with Belgian triples you get like a little bit thicker taste.
Yeah.
This is a little bit smoother, lighter, but still good flavor. Like this is it's enjoyable. I wish it was a little bit more, but this is a great summer beer. Summer beer.
I kind of guess what I think you're probably drilling down to, and I think the best way for me to recap it is I wish it was a little bit more of a traditional triple.
Yes, with just a hint of this agave. But
yeah.
It's still good, still enjoyable. I just kind of had higher hopes because of Founders.
Yeah.
But if it was by someone else, I'd be like, this is really good.
If this was a local brew in our area, we'd be like, okay, this is awesome.
But because Founders is like up here.
Yep, and that's, you kind of got to put always that stuff in the cocktail, if you will, of how you kind of review something. But damn good brew. Crazy score. Every time I walk in here now and my eyes hit Sunset Riders or The Punisher or Bucky O'Hare, I'm like, holy shit, we have those. And then boxes of games that I still don't quite know what we're gonna do with.
Dude, it's still, when we got it home and like we laid it out on the living room floor, I was like, oh, there's just stacks of stuff. I love that there's a new rubber duck behind me, Borderlands 2. That's so cool. It's still so surreal, even watching the footage, even being there. It's still so surreal. Man.
Yeah, it's going to be a process getting through it all, but we will get through it all. And you got to kind of draw some lines, you really do, of making sure that you're not keeping too much. Like, am I really going to play this? And that's kind of the fine line of what comes into our collection and what doesn't. I mean, there are going to be some, maybe more expensive games that, why didn't you guys keep that? It's super rare. If we're not going to play it, there's no reason to keep it.
Yeah, we're not
and it needs to end up in the hands of somebody who will play it. So we try having a game room full of stuff that either we really want to get to, or if someone comes over, they would really want to play. And honestly, we don't have room for much more. So.
Yeah, our collection's freaking badass.
Yeah, and we did swap some things out, I think like we got rid of all of our Ratchet and Clank and Sly Cooper games because we got the HD collection,
and then some games we already had, so we compared the better copies and upgraded our copies.
Yeah,
so I think that's a good way to do it.
Yep.
Dude, I just still can't believe 4 boxes of stuff.
Let us know
so many Switch games
in the comment section below what your favorite thing that you've seen in this video from this collection or this pickup. Were there anything that are grails that you want for your collection? And most importantly, we appreciate you coming along for the ride. And if you could do anything to help us out, like, share, subscribe.
Share.
It's important. YouTube hates the type of people that we are, and we're never going to be algorithm friendly. So we need you to help take us to the promised land. Oh yeah. We'll see you next time right here on the one and only Gaming Off the Grid. Dig it! The NES, near and dear to my heart. I know it's near and dear to Robert's heart too, which is odd because he was born in
86.
Sealed games.
Race cars.
To make a little bit of money. So the Sly collection and the Ratchet and Cankle.
So I literally have no idea what we're walking into.
And stuff that we can sell and make a little bit more money than if we like sold these games. That would be the Sly collection and the Ratchet and
Canker. It was cool to see Spider-Man and then Spider-Man No Way Home because we gave away our copy of Spider-Man and I haven't played the second one, so that was kind of cool.
Isn't it called Miles Morales?
Fuck yeah, I wasn't even.
No Way Home's the dude.
That's the movie. Fuck.